Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us virtually this evening. I'm so pleased that you could join us as we continue our 2021 event series, Campus Connections. I'm Jay Davenport, Vice President of Development and Alumni Relations at VCU. Tonight, I want to welcome all of you, and especially our Founders Society, Heritage Society, MCV Society, the President's Club, the Black and Gold Loyalty Society, the VCU Alumni Life Membership Society, parents and family donors who have joined us, and supporters of the School of Pharmacy. You're an important part of our VCU community, and we're so honored to include you in this exclusive opportunity to learn more about one of our nationally acclaimed academic institutions, the VCU School of Pharmacy. Now, before we begin, I do have a few housekeeping notes to share with you. Tonight's event is being recorded, and after the event, we will share a link with you so that you can watch this when it's complete. We also invite you to provide your comments and questions during the evening. Please locate the Q&A chat box at the bottom of your screen. If you think of a question at any point, just type it in there and I'll answer it during the discussion portion at the end of the event. Finally, captions are available by clicking on the three dots or the More button, also located at the bottom of your Zoom panel. Once there, choose the live transcript option and you will see captions appear. The VCU School of Pharmacy is the scientific forefront in pharmacy, pharmaceutics, and the medicinal chemistry education and research in the state of Virginia. It has consistently been ranked among the top 20 pharmacy schools in the country by U.S. News & World Report. It was established in 1898 as part of the Medical College of Virginia. The school has a long history of pioneering changes in the field, including being one of the very first schools in the nation to require all students to spend their final year in a practice setting under faculty supervision. Today, about 70% of the graduating pharmacy doctoral students go directly into pharmacy practice, and while the remainder are accepted into residencies and graduate or fellowship programs. In addition, the school offers significant funding to support cutting-edge research and development in the pharmaceutical sciences. It's home to the Institute of Structural Biology, Drug Discovery and Development, the Center for Biomarker Research and Precision Medicine, the Bioanalytical Laboratories Service Center, and the VCU Coagulation Advancement Lab, and the Aerosol Research Group, among many more. In the past 5 years, the School of Pharmacy has opened two one-of-a-kind facilities that present unique opportunities for research and training. In 2016, the school opened the Center for Compounding Practice and Research. It's a sterile medicine compounding facility that's one of only a handful in the country. And in 2019, the Center for Pharmaceutical Engineering and Sciences was opened as a collaboration between the School of Pharmacy and the College of Engineering to focus on the research, creation, and patent of drug products and pharmaceutical processes to address future health needs. We'll hear more about these two facilities very shortly, but first, we're going to hear from grateful pharmacy students about the impact that your generosity has had on their VCU education. Please enjoy.
My mom is a nurse, and I would go to work with her sometimes to kind of see what she did as a nurse. And it made me fall in love with healthcare. And I tried out being a technician for a while and observed pharmacists' work, seeing what they did on a daily basis, just further confirmed that pharmacy was what I wanted to do.
During my last year of undergrad, I got an opportunity to work with an independent pharmacist. The way the patient came back and very appreciative of his work and his time and how much he devoted to the community sparked something inside me.
This school has been my dream school since I was in high school. I also have seen how VCU School of Pharmacy has been impacting the community, and I've always wanted to be a part of that. Some of my future goals are to open my own pharmacy one day. I also have a grandmother who lives in Panama, and she's told me countless stories of how medications aren't always available. So I want to be able to help those who have limited accessibility to medications.
Like the things I do outside of the classroom, I would love to help those underserved. I love to mentor.
My future goal would be either a fellowship in the industry or a residency specialized in emergency med.
The lab for me helped me to build on skills. It helped me to build on my confidence, but it also makes us think clinically because we're going through and making recommendations for patients. We're learning skills like compounding. We have the resources at VCU that allow us to become well-rounded before we go out into practice.
The School of Pharmacy lab was very, very helpful for me. The compounding lab was very, very unique experience.
VCU was always reminding us that in order to succeed, we need to be a pharma lead.
Whatever I need, I can just reach out to the school and they usually follow up or just give me resources available.
I think people should provide support to the VCU School of Pharmacy because if you support them, they can give more resources out to the community and give their students the opportunities to partake in that.
I think it's important for people to support the VCU School of Pharmacy just because we have all these things on campus and all these resources that not all students are able to say that they had. I feel that no matter what room I step in on my clinical rotations now, I at least have some type of familiarity with the things going on in the room. Fourth year, I was placed in Charlottesville. VCU was able to provide me with a small grant to help me with my moving fees, help me with my time here. And I can't confidently say that I would financially be comfortable with being here and having to do my day-to-day responsibilities if people weren't supporting VCU, because as a result, I wouldn't have received the grant that I received.
Next, I'd like to give you a behind-the-scenes tour of the Center for Compounding Practice and Research and the Center for Pharmaceutical Engineering and Sciences. We'll learn about how these places are shaping the future of pharmaceutical industry. Please enjoy.
The Center for Pharmaceutical Engineering and Sciences started with a grassroots movement over a decade ago here at VCU. That grassroots movement led to the formation of the center. The center has 5 arms: educational arm, research, service, entrepreneurship, and outreach. There's been tremendous growth in the center in the past 2 years. We have since then established a new PhD program in pharmaceutical engineering. This is first of its kind in the nation, maybe in the world. Of course, as we bring all these people into the Center for Pharmaceutical Engineering and Sciences, there's been tremendous amount of research and scholarship that happen, and also in terms of entrepreneurship with disclosures and patents in many different areas. The center is responding to the need of COVID-19 pandemic in many different ways. We have a lot of scholarship here that investigates nanoformulations that can be used for mRNA delivery, which is the vaccine for Moderna and Pfizer. So we are developing talent that is actually going to the industry and working in those exact areas. More directly, we have, for example, the work of one of our faculty here in pharmaceutics that recently disclosed a patch technology for vaccine for mRNA delivery. This is really exciting work because you can administer that in a way that does not need the cold chain storage, meaning you don't need to freezer or fridge during transport of that vaccine. It's also non-invasive. You don't use needles to administer the vaccine. And so this is really exciting new technology. The Center for Pharmaceutical Engineering and Sciences here at VCU was founded just in 2019, so this is a nascent program. Our PhD is now welcoming our second cohort of students. In order for us to really grow the program very fast, it will be really great to have the support from donors that would allow us to really attract top talent, faculty and students to the program, for example, if we're talking about this educational component of the center, but also in terms of our research and service by creating opportunities for our faculty to develop cutting cutting-edge technologies to treat a variety of diseases and develop new drug products.
The Center for Compounding Practice and Research is a state-of-the-art sterile compounding facility that is one of a few of its kind in the United States. There are approximately 143 pharmacy schools in the U.S. Of those schools, there are very few that have sterile compounding labs, and even fewer that have a United States Pharmacopoeia, USP, compliant sterile compounding facility like ours. By us being able to provide that here at the School of Pharmacy, we feel that our pharmacy students are much more competitive in the job market upon graduation, especially for hospital jobs and infusion-related jobs. Overall, we've had in the CCPR over 650 pharmacy students and over 300 practicing pharmacists, pharmacy technicians, nurses, and other healthcare professionals that handle sterile preparations. Donor support is extremely important for the CCPR. It's very costly to maintain a compounding facility like ours, a state-of-the-art sterile compounding facility. Donor support was key in getting the CCPR up and running, and it's crucial for maintaining its operations. And that will translate directly to the quality of care that we're providing for our patients.
At this time, I'd like to formally introduce our special guest for the evening, Dr. Joe Depiro, Associate Vice President for Health Sciences and Faculty Affairs at VCU, and the Archie McCalley Chair and Dean of the VCU School of Pharmacy. Prior to joining VCU in 2014, he served as the Executive Dean of the South Carolina College of Pharmacy, a joint program of the Medical University of South Carolina and the University of South Carolina. He also served as a faculty member and department head and assistant dean at the University of Georgia College of Pharmacy and the Medical College of Georgia. During this time, his primary scholarly interests were in the use of antibiotics and other drugs in surgical settings. Dr. Depiro received his Bachelor's of Science in Pharmacy from the University of Connecticut and a Doctor of Pharmacy from the University of Kentucky. He then completed a residency at the University of Kentucky Medical Center and a fellowship in clinical immunology at Johns Hopkins University. Joe, welcome tonight.
Thank you, Jay. Good evening to everybody. I know we have alumni and students here and friends of the school. Thanks for joining us tonight. I wish we could all be in person, and I know we will someday, but I'm glad we're here tonight.
Absolutely. We all long for that personal connection again. So, Joe, tell us, first of all, how did you become interested in pharmacy?
Jay, I hope I can talk a little bit about ancient history here because I had a special anniversary last month. It was 50 years ago that I first started working in pharmacy. It was a small hospital pharmacy in my hometown. This was while I was in high school and really never left. So I didn't know at that time that pharmacy would be my career, but I had the opportunity to go on from this small hospital to work in a large medical center, Yale New Haven Hospital, which was near me, where we lived in Connecticut, and really see a high-powered pharmacy enterprise and get to learn about what pharmacists did. I gained a lot of respect for pharmacists by that time, and so made the decision to go into pharmacy, which led me to UConn Pharmacy School, and then University of Kentucky, where went for a PharmD and residency program, and after that have been with academic pharmacy my whole career and still practicing for many years. Well, not at the moment, but was for many years, and as a clinical pharmacist in general surgery. And I, think back on it, what was it that made me interested in pharmacy? And it was the opportunity to use science knowledge. I was very, very much like chemistry and biology, and to apply that to a health profession.
So how has the School of Pharmacy changed and evolved since your arrival in 2014?
Yeah, good question. I always thought that we had a great foundation here, and it's one of the things that attracted me when you look at all the components of what is here at VCU on the MCV campus and the history of the place. You know, it's in 2 years, we'll be celebrating our 125th anniversary of the founding of the school. And so those foundational areas that had been going on here for quite a while were service, particularly patient care service, and practice innovation. Over the years, there were many things that had begun here at VCU and MCV before that really made a name for the school and for the profession. We've always had an excellent curriculum. And so this is something that is now, we know we can't stand still with that a curriculum ages if you don't keep it up to date and continue to ask what will our graduates need in the future. And so we've been embarking on a program to create what we're calling next generation pharmacists. And that is a major curriculum revision. So, those are some of the foundation areas for the school. Another has been research excellence. We just heard from Dr. Sandro DeHosha about pharmaceutical engineering. That was one example of an area that we're really putting a lot of development into and effort into, and that's something that has evolved over the past few years that will continue to grow in the years ahead. I guess another way that the school has evolved, we've always been about learning the knowledge and the skills and of pharmacy, what it takes to be a pharmacist, and professionalism. And now we recognize even more than we had in the past that we also have to be astute about the broader social factors that influence healthcare. And if it's health equity, for example, or social determinants of health. And so these are some elements that are being worked into our curriculum that we feel it's essential that students need to know about, along with all the other aspects of pharmacy. You also heard from Dr. Barbara Exum a short while ago with the Center for Pharmacy Compounding Practice and Research. And that's another example of, again, a foundational area that we've been building on over the past few years. So, back to the question, how has it changed and evolved? Again, the foundations were all there in really solid areas, and so we've been able to build on that.
Mm-hmm. You just mentioned that new compounding lab. So talk about how that lab has furthered the school's impact regionally and nationally.
Well, as Dr. Exum said, it's one of a few in the entire country that are that sophisticated and meet all the specifications, the USP specifications. So we're able to do training programs here that a lot of other places can't. So we've been very much focused, as she has in her leadership as director of the center, in training pharmacy technicians. It's one of the biggest needs that there is in our profession is well-trained pharmacy technicians. And so we have a lot who come here every year, and even a train the trainer session where those who teach pharmacy technicians come here to learn and then can expand on the core of pharmacy technicians that are out there. Pharmacists as well, that many have come here throughout the past few years, and we draw from many surrounding states. I don't know that we really pull from the West Coast. Maybe Dr. Exum would know, but I know from the certainly Mid-Atlantic region and this part of the country coming here to train. And then a big part of this is that every student who goes through here now trains in the compounding center. So our students graduate with a higher level of expertise in this area than just about any school in the country. So we're really proud of it. I'm sure some of you have seen it. If you have not, you're certainly welcome to come by. We love to show it off, the center, and you'd really be impressed with the facility.
Now, COVID-19 has played havoc, obviously, across the Commonwealth and throughout the country, but Talk about how the college has adapted to the challenges uniquely presented by this COVID-19 pandemic.
We really learned a lot. Starting from March of 2020, when this was thrust upon us, and everyone else in the same way, we all found we had to pivot more quickly than we ever thought possible. And when you learn one day that all the courses that you would have in the building with students on class were no longer possible, our faculty went to work, our administration, our staff, to go into remote learning. So very quickly, we finished off that semester back a year ago, being able to deliver the classes remotely. And then over the summer, we were able to improve on that. As we gained experience, we fed that back into how we did things. And so we had to really enhance what we did in terms of remote instruction, remote examination, communications. On the clinical side, our clinical faculty changed very rapidly to telehealth. Telehealth became the way to deliver health for a while there, and now it's still with us, but I think people are finding out the best combination of what can be done remotely, what should be done remotely, and what really needs to be face-to-face. So from this, I think we would have never wished this upon us or anybody else, but the learning that's come from that, we've had to experiment. We've found better ways to do some things. And so going forward, it's not going to be that we go back to what we did before, but this combination, you can call it a hybrid or something else, but it's a combination of what we learned with remote learning and what we now know, and we've come to recognize also the high value of what we do face to face. It just we all missed those casual conversations that we could have with students in the lobby or in the classrooms that didn't happen for a year and a half and are really important, and how you can get to discussing things that if you had to schedule it and have a Zoom session just didn't happen as well. So our faculty and staff and students are glad to be back in the building and seeing each other and getting to interact face to face.
It is so nice to walk around the campus and see more and more students and just more life on the campus each and every day. So that is a noticeable difference. Now, tell us about your new role. You are now the Associate Vice President for Health Sciences and Faculty Affairs on the MCV campus. Tell us about that role, and then how does that impact your leadership of the School of Pharmacy?
Sure. It's really an additional set of duties. So I didn't get any relief from what I was doing as dean, so it added on to it, but I was really happy to do it. We benefited a lot over the years. The person who did that before was Dean Dave Surratt, Dean of the School of Dentistry, and he did that for 18 years. And there's so many times that we had to rely on his expertise for faculty-related issues. And as he transitioned out of his role as dean, Dr. Kellerman, our senior vice president for health sciences here, asked me to take over those responsibilities. I was happy to do it. I get to now to work more with other individuals in our other health science schools, leaders in these schools, those who are working in the faculty affairs area. So with this, I'm working directly on issues like promotion and tenure, endowed professorships, faculty development, faculty recruitment. We have a relatively underdeveloped group of leaders related to faculty affairs on the health sciences campus. There are people doing good things, and some have been doing it for a long time, but we've never really had it well organized. And so now we're doing that a little bit better, organizing how we work with faculty affairs and bring in other people from the other schools to enhance. It's really faculty support is a lot of it. We have some tremendous faculty members here at VCU and on this campus and in the school. And it's sometimes a challenge. Well, one, to recruit the best. We're competing with top-notch schools around the country to get them here, and then to keep them here. And when we bring on faculty or stars in their area, we want them to retire here 30 or 40 years later. So it takes a lot to keep them here and fully support them. And so this role doesn't directly impact what I do as Dean of the School of Pharmacy, but it will affect, positively influence what's happening with our faculty and the support that they receive in their careers.
Very, very important. And I can't think of a better person to help out with that side on that campus. You're an absolute asset to help with the faculty affairs. So you've been with the VCU for several years now. What would you say has been the most enjoyable aspect about your role as dean?
Jay, yeah, going into my 8th year, always, it is seeing the success of our students and our faculty. And it's really what defines a good day. When I can drive home and sometime during that day, I've been a part of or seen the success of our students, helping them to realize their vision and their careers, or our faculty. And sometimes it's a career step or, training or development. At other times, it's helping them in the ways that I can in their research goals. And, I'm not the one helping them in the laboratory with their research, but there's a lot of things I can do to facilitate what they do. And sometimes it's resources, or helping them renovate a laboratory, or a critical staff member hire that would work in the lab. There are just a lot of different things that can be done to help our students and our faculty be successful. And that's very high motivation. Thinking about the success of former students in the schools I've been before coming here, I now have 4 former students who are also deans of schools of pharmacy. So that's pretty special. And in this profession, as the years go on and students graduate, they become your colleagues. And so, I can see this all the time. People I interact with who were once students and are now colleagues in the profession. I guess the other part of it is that what I've enjoyed, my role here is being part of a great team of leaders. We have phenomenal people as assistant and associate deans, as chairs of our departments, directors of our programs. You heard from 2 of them earlier today. Phenomenal group of people, and really enjoy working with them. And then, beyond that, again, what I enjoy most about this role is representing the school. And so I get to represent our school and our profession on a national basis, sometimes on an international basis as well. Even just in the past week, I was on a national committee of the American Association of Colleges of Pharmacy, and we're working on some key issues. And last week, I was on a site visit team for a university in Jordan. This was, they were seeking accreditation or certification through the Accreditation Council on Pharmacy Education, being a part of that team. And I learned what they're doing over there in Jordan, and they learned more about what we're doing here. So all that is pretty special, and a lot of what I enjoy in this position.
Now, people know you pretty well. You've been with us for quite some time now, but tell us something that might surprise people, or something that people might not know about you, but is of interest to you, or might be interesting to know about you.
I think you'd be surprised at how many hours I spend in meetings, important meetings, no question about it. But it is if you saw my calendar, you'd definitely be surprised. So that would be one thing. As I've just mentioned, that one thing that people don't often see or realize is the opportunities for this international colleagueship. And I sometimes get a question, if I'm back before COVID, I have the chance to travel to an international conference or a university in some other part of the world. And I often get the question, well, I didn't know that pharmacists were connected internationally. Why would you be involved internationally? And as it happens, a lot of the issues that we deal with in pharmacy, any of the major issues, are worldwide. They're issues and concerns about medication use all around the world. So we have a common agenda, and even in teaching, what we're trying to do in pharmacy education, there are common agendas. So I think that might surprise people, how connected we are around the world. And I guess the last thing that comes to mind is outside of pharmacy, people may be surprised at how many miles I run or ride each week.
So how many miles would that be?
It varies from week to week, and the riding miles are much more than the running miles, but it's every day, one or the other. And I have I ride with the local Richmond Area Bike Association. We've got a 65-mile bike ride coming up on Saturday. So sometimes it can be quite a long distance, not very fast, but enjoy the social aspects of being out with a group of people and riding or running.
That is fantastic. So, Joe, I really appreciate this, but if you don't mind, I'm going to open it up to the question and answer box and take some questions from the audience. If you want to ask a question of Dean Depiro, remember to put your question in the Q&A chat box at the bottom of your screen. Type in your question, and I'm going to answer as many of these as we have time for. So the first question is about our students and the average amount of debt that our graduates graduate with. Do you know what that might be?
It is substantial, unfortunately. Again, back to ancient history, when I went to pharmacy school, the tuition was about $400 a semester. And most of us could talk about working our way through school and come out without a lot of debt. And now, unfortunately, and this is true not just at VCU, but really any pharmacy school around the country, it can be between $150,000 and $200,000 total debt, and that would include undergraduate and pharmacy school.
The next question is, how can supporters of the pharmacy school help you achieve your goals over the next few years?
Thank you. And, just to add to that last question as well, one thing that concerns me is that we have a lot of students that obviously manage that. And if their family finances can support them, or they're able to borrow. But I think there's a lot of our society, a lot of our communities that can't see how they can manage this. So they don't get into pharmacy school. They don't apply to pharmacy school, even consider pharmacy school because of the debt load. And thank you for the second question there. Obviously, we're always looking for those who can help us in supporting our students and creating or enhancing our scholarship program. I was just looking at the numbers today. This year, we will be able to give out, through the generosity of donors and support from the university and the MCV Foundation, about $1.5 million in total scholarship money. So it's considerable. It doesn't really meet the full need. So that's a key thing, is the financial side is providing support for our students. But there are a lot of other ways in which our alumni and friends can help and support the school and our students. And one is through being a preceptor. We have to rely on about 1,000 preceptors every year to provide high quality experiential rotations for our students. And so many people are very actively involved in that, providing these opportunities for students. Student internships. So as a pharmacist employer, bringing on a student in a paid position, again, helps in the financial aspects. we have a number of opportunities for alumni and pharmacists in the Commonwealth to be involved in what's going on in the school, advisory boards, for example. So there are a number of ways that people can be involved. I like to also mention, when we recruit pharmacy students, one of the best ways to do this is to have them spend time with a pharmacist, because I know the right things are going to happen. And sometimes that's a shadowing experience. And so anytime you have an opportunity to offer a shadowing experience to a pre-pharmacy student, a high school, maybe a younger person at any stage, to show them what pharmacy is about, really supports us and helps the profession by getting them interested in pharmacy. So those are a few things that come to mind.
The next question is, what should we expect from the School of Pharmacy over the next year or two?
And some of this I've mentioned, and I can add to it as well, that we're going to be dramatically changing our curriculum. Again, looking to the future of pharmacy and healthcare, and we call that next generation pharmacists. So that's something that you'll be hearing more and more about. I know that as COVID retreats, we're going to be re-engaging with our alumni. So we'll have the opportunity for more face-to-face meetings. We really hope that in the spring, our alumni events, our alumni weekend, will be back to where it was in the past, and people getting to meet together. So that'll be coming out. Another thing that we're really interested in, and a number of faculty are involved in, is being out front and training for what's going on legislatively with expanded scope of practice. As this works its way through the legislative process and then the Board of Pharmacy process for protocols, you'll find that we'll be out there providing training programs for pharmacists who want to be able to take advantage of the expanded scope of practice. So those are a few things. Mostly on the practice front, there is a phenomenal amount going on in research as well. And some of that, we've talked about already.
And the last question that's been typed in is, Dean Depiro, what has been your favorite or most unexpected moment in the time that you have been dean of the pharmacy school?
Jay, this would be tough to beat. It would be being Miss America's dean. It's just hard to describe how much attention. We're so proud of Camille Schreier as our student. She's back in school now as she's winding down her Miss America commitments. Just a phenomenal person. And what's really great about it is that her message that she has been speaking about all over the country is women in science and proper use of medication. She's a great spokesperson for the profession and highlighting, what's going on here at VCU, but having someone in the school, her having achieved Miss America was really unbelievable.
Absolutely. And a great moment when it was announced, and we all celebrated her success as well. So that's a truly remarkable, unique experience as a dean.
Well, I watched that live as it was happening, and so it's kind of like your team winning the national championship. And my wife can attest, I was jumping up and down and yelling and screaming that she had won and been crowned. So it was great.
Absolutely wonderful. Well, Joe, I really appreciate your time tonight. These are wonderful insights, and I really appreciate the questions from the audience, sharing those with us tonight. I'd really thank you for your dedication and your time to VCU. I'd also like to thank every one of you who joined us tonight for your continued support of VCU. Your care and engagement make a huge difference in our university community, and we would simply not be as successful without you. So we are so very, very grateful. Thank you all again and have a great evening.